We're very grateful to have the opportunity to share the resources available through the state of Massachusetts with you guys, as there's a vast amount of resources out there that oftentimes many people don't know about. There's a lot of news out there regarding workforce these days, whether it's the tech layoffs, whether it's the new administration coming in, whether it's just the ongoing shortage that's been there in certain industries as it relates to, since COVID, really. So really, we're here today, myself, Erica, and Mark, who will be here shortly, just to go over some of those resources that are available, how best to contact us if there is a need for your business, and again, just here to share how we can help. Go next slide. Perfect. And as I mentioned, my name is Sean Marshall. I'm the Business Services Manager for the Metro Southwest region. I'll define what that is in a minute. Erica Halloran here is the business service representative for the North Central region. MassHire, while it is a state entity and a state brand, it is run also at a local level with local regional workforce boards and so forth, which we'll go over on the next slide. So as you guys might be aware with MassHire, in a handful of years ago, I forget the exact date, we were not MassHire at that time. Each individual workforce region operated with their own branding, their own function, all under the same umbrella with the Massachusetts workforce system. The state decided to, and rightfully so, rebrand as MassHire as a way to show all of the resources that are available to the employers and job seekers throughout the state with a different variety of, really a wide variety of organizations, right? But in doing that rebranding, it does often confuse how each individual entity does work. So I just want to explain a little bit locally how the Career Center system is broken down and how we work with our partners and so forth. So first off, you have the MassHire Workforce Boards. They are the, they oversee the region. They, as it says, they advocate for policy change. They bring together businesses and other institutions to partner to really drive the solutions that we come up with at the Career Center level, at the partner organizations and so forth. They really help pull all of that together and help operate the umbrella that is MassHire within the local region. The Career Centers are the hub, so to speak, of the action for where this takes place. Each Career Center has a business services team that works directly with the employers, and they also work directly with job seekers in a variety of different ways that we'll touch base on, but really to help upskill and help individuals, whether they're unemployed, low income, or other challenges that they may be facing in their job search, get better employment and better self-sufficiency with their life. We also have youth programs within each region that work with both in-school and out-of-school youth. Can be ages 18 to 24 or in high school with a number of programs such as internships, experiential learning opportunities, and so much more. The youth programs are a big part of the overall workforce development within the region. So definitely want to highlight those, and while we're not going to really touch on a lot of what the youth does here today, we can absolutely get you connected with the appropriate programs within your region to learn more on how you can help there. And then also what's really important to highlight is the workforce regional partnerships that we have. Not only is it written into the WIOA program that we work with specific organizations on a mandatory basis, the Career Centers also partner locally with a lot of community organizations. For example, the town of Acton and the economic development director here in leveraging these types of events and being able to connect with the different programs and resources that are out there. And again, I've mentioned WIOA a couple times. And just a little bit more about that is that's the overarching structure that the mass workforce system in general, and specifically the Career Centers, operate under. So with the WIOA plan that came about in 2016, the goal is to design inclusive and effective career and service pathways across partners that are aligned with business demand, to also improve foundation skills and transitions to education, training, credentialing for individuals with challenges to employment. They assist with individuals with challenges to employment to achieve economic self-sufficiency through support services, labor market-driven credentialing and employment, and really to meet the workforce needs of job seekers and businesses who engage in the public workforce system. Again, we're here to listen to you guys, to listen to the businesses, to listen to the partners that we work with. And this slide shows all of, or not all of, but some of the organizations that through the WIOA guideline, through the WIOA programming, we partner with from the Career Center. So we work with the Department of Transitional Assistance, with Mass Rehab Commission and individuals with disabilities, older workers, and these are just some of the many programs that we partner with. And I bring this up to say that not only do we partner from a marketing employer's needs or openings or resources that are available, but we'll also make sure that in a tight labor market, we want to share these individuals with the employers because oftentimes they are overlooked, and in this tight labor market where in a lot of cases there's a shortage in certain industries with little or in a lot of cases zero job modification, a lot of these candidate pools have tons of really motivated, eager, and skilled workers that are able to help fix this shortage of labor that we're seeing within the region. So it's our goal at MassHire to help make those connections to those partner organizations, whether it's employers connecting to see how they can work with their individuals looking for employment, or just other ways that, again, the resources can help. Just a quick breakdown as, again, the MassHire system is broken down regionally. I cover the MassHire Metro Southwest region, which is basically east of 495 up to Acton, and then you can say north and west of 95. We have a very wide area, and again, the regions are broken down specifically because, again, each region in Massachusetts almost has its own individual economy in and of itself. What we're working with is very different than out west in the Berkshires, than out on Cape and the Island. So this structure allows for each region to work locally to meet those needs while, again, still being able to work together for those opportunities that are throughout the state. And now I'm going to quickly introduce Erica Halloran again, who's the business services rep for the MassHire North Central region. We'll just quickly describe a little bit about her region before moving forward.
Okay, so my region is located all the way from Clinton up to Royalston, and our office is located in Leominster. So around this area, we actually would be the primary point of contact for both Berlin and Bolton companies.
Great, and these are just two of the regions that are within the MassHire system. Obviously, we operate statewide, and we have connections with each region. So if you don't see or you didn't see where your company is located on that map, you can either, there's a couple of search engines online, or please feel free to reach out, as we'd be happy to direct you to the appropriate contact at each of the different centers located throughout the state. Just quickly, a little bit overview of the career centers and what we do. They serve as a vital link between workers and employers to bring about economic opportunity. Again, we work with job seekers, employers. We also have a strong commitment to veterans, which I will then go over as well. So here are the veterans representatives for the MassHire North Central region. It is Brian Andrews. He's based out of the MassHire Leominster Career Center. And for the Metro Southwest region, it is Jack McKenna, located in Norwood, and Darren Bradshaw, who's located in Framingham. Our veterans, and the reason we bring this up is that veterans receive a priority of service at the career centers. Not only do they receive, obviously, all of the services that the career centers offer, but they have the ability to not just receive the priority of service, meaning first access to the resources that they have available, but with certain categories of veterans, they are also eligible in some cases to receive additional services, additional case management. But even if they're not, there's always a very heavy emphasis in gratitude toward veterans within the workforce system. So we make sure that they do have a priority of service, and each center has a veteran services representative that would be able to help those individuals and make sure that they're able to get connected to all of the many resources that are obviously available to veteran job seekers. Overall, I'll just quickly touch on the job seekers services that we provide, because the bulk of what you guys are looking for obviously are the employer services. But from a job seeker's perspective, so you're aware of those individuals that are coming into our career centers and leveraging our services, all job seekers can receive job leads from our business services teams, workshops for career development, whether in person or virtual, labor market information if you're looking to make that career change and you're not sure is this job going to meet my salary requirements that I had in a previous career. There's a lot of those details that oftentimes people don't have access to that the career centers can help. For those that maybe don't have internet or don't have technology at their homes, we do have computer labs available for job seekers to come in and leverage it. And so much is virtual these days, especially post-COVID. We have those opportunities for the career centers to be able to help those individuals. We host hiring events, and there really is a whole lot more for those, just all job seekers in general that we're able to work with. Now, per the WIOA guidelines, we're also able to do a little bit more with those individuals who are recently unemployed and receiving unemployment assistance, or are low income and also meet some other categories such as veterans and some other ones in there. But if they qualify, they're able to receive one-on-one case management, potential funding for training opportunities, not just some of the programs that we'll cover, but potentially even longer term programs and so forth. There really is just a lot out there that we can really help navigate an individual's career search and career path should they want that assistance. And now on to obviously the meat of why we're all here today, and that's the business services and how we're able to work with employers. I'll mention MassBizWorks, which for those who have, I'll mention it here, I'll go into more detail shortly. But for those that are unaware, MassBizWorks is the overarching program that covers all of the business services and resources that are available to employers throughout the state. So that could range from anything from details about the career centers. We're the recruitment arm as part of the Career Center program, but we are also the conduit to all of those other programs that are available, which I'll touch on momentarily. So at no cost, with all of those resources that are available and our needs, because your taxes are what cover the funding for much of the programs that we do. Occasionally you'll see an event that has some funding to it. I'll put it out there because we're partnering with the venue or there's costs involved, but generally speaking, all of the services that we're able to provide to employers are at no cost. And a lot of times, most of the time, we're able to customize those solutions to really work with you and meet the needs that you guys have. If you want to go next slide. Perfect. So as a recruitment resource, we work out of a very unique database in the sense that we partner with unemployment. So every single, or just about every single job seeker that becomes unemployed gets into our system and comes into the Career Center through what's called a Career Center seminar. We have access to that database, and while I'll be honest, it's not the most, we don't have access to every single one of those individuals because not all are as active as others, but it is a unique database that nobody else has in the system. So I always say we are an added resource to an employer's existing recruitment plan. Not only do we have access to that database, but we also work with a number of organizations locally that each career center really partners with and shares their job leads with. So realistically, you're not just working with those in the career center, you're working with that entire network of partners and individuals that we showed earlier, and that expands to the local relationships that each career center hosts. So there's really a lot that we can do to assist, such as job posting. We use the Massachusetts JobQuest job board. It is a free job board for employers to use, job seekers to use. If you become unemployed, you are required to sign up. And it has not just all of the positions and opportunities that the career centers are working on. Realistically, businesses have access to use that system, go in and recruit candidates from there. So from a job seeker's perspective, they've got thousands upon thousands of job opportunities there to recruit from. And from an employer's perspective, most importantly, you guys have the ability as well to go in and access those customers and work with the career centers to help get those customers potentially interested in your positions. Additionally, I mentioned we'll partner and promote the postings, not just to our mailing list, but everybody else. Like I mentioned before, we're able to customize what we do. So if, let's say, you're an HR team that really has specific skill sets that you guys look for and don't have the time to necessarily go through and screen every single applicant that we would send or something like that, we can customize our recruitment to make sure that we pre-screen candidates based on the needs and so forth. Not just that, we also work with a number of job seekers that are enrolled with our career center, so we have those strong relationships, not just from a, we found you in a database, but we work very closely with many job seekers that we're able to help highlight their strengths and really help you, the employer, see beyond their resume or their skills and see how they can really work well within your system. Additionally, we host a ton of career fairs and individual recruitment opportunities, whether it's on-site at your place of business, whether it's on-site at our career center, whether it's a large career fair where we have 30 to 40 employers on hand. In fact, I'm working with Julie here. In March, we're doing a manufacturing resource and career fair here in Acton, where we're hoping to connect individuals interested in careers that maybe aren't necessarily aware of the great careers that are available in manufacturing. We're here to show them not just, hey, here are the jobs, but here are some resources that are there to help get you there. So we get to do cool things like that to really help get the employers out in front of our job seekers in a variety of different ways. Finally, we'll also host just individual employer events. I don't think I have this listed here, but things like this, where, for example, this in the fall we had done one for the registered apprenticeship program specific to manufacturing companies, where we had an individual from the Northeast Advanced Manufacturing Consortium come out and talk about the registered apprenticeship and how manufacturing companies can leverage the funding, the training, and the programs that are out there in that case to upskill new staff or existing staff to meet the needs of their ever-changing labor force. So really a number of different opportunities that we can use. Another key point that I just want to quickly touch on is the fact that we do have tools and systems in place to provide detailed labor market information to help you operate your business. Whether it's finding, hey, do our salaries stack up with the market? Is that why we're not seeing resumes? Let me see what the average is, what the median is, and do I feel like I should be paying my job seekers or my employees more because we're making them do more than the skills of. There's a lot of those tools out there that we can leverage, that we can provide you, the business, with information to help you make the decisions that you need. So certainly reach out to any business service representative out of MassHire Career Center, myself and Erica included, and we'd be more than happy to help answer whatever questions you have through some of the programs that we have. Finally, I've mentioned it a few times today, but just wanted to quickly highlight a little bit more about MassBizWorks, as again, it really is the tool that puts everything under one roof for the employers as it relates to the ever-changing funding and grant opportunities that are available. As you guys have heard with with COVID and all of the federal funding that's comes down, there's a lot of new opportunities available. In fact, that's why we have Mark Wigfall here to talk about the Future Skills Program and some of the new ARPA training dollars that are really geared toward upskilling staff with your current staff, with the local employers. But BizWorks as well is just that overarching, encompassing program where really they put everything under one umbrella. I've said this before, but to make things a little bit easier. If you want to go next slide. And we use this as sort of the guideline in the sense that everybody is at least somewhat familiar with the standard business cycle. You know, you're going up, you're having success, you're growing, maybe something happens, you're laying off, you're going back down, and it's the ebb and flow of the standard business cycle. MassBizWorks has a function or a program that really impacts any part of that cycle. So if you're growing, that's where we, the career centers, come into play. We can help you recruit. We can connect you with schools and educational providers to help with training needs, whether it's incumbent staff, new staff that you have coming in, really a variety of ways to help with that growth. If you're laying off, unfortunately, sometimes that does happen. We've heard it, especially recently in the tech sector. The rapid response team is there to help you avoid, if possible, those layoffs with programs like the WorkShare program, where instead of laying people off, you have them on a reduced schedule, they rotate, they're still making the same income, but they end up saving you, the employer, some money on labor costs and so forth in hopes to get through that downtime. Or if they are laying off, they help you navigate the unemployment process. So if any employers are looking for, unfortunately, that layoff to take place, they're there to really help your employees land on their feet in that next opportunity. But they'll work with you every step of the way to meet your needs, as obviously you guys have a business to run too. So that's just sort of the two ends of the spectrum. There's a whole lot of stuff in the middle where as you're growing or as you're declining, there are things out there that we can leverage to do that. So like I mentioned, whether it's recruiting and hiring, with ourselves, the career centers, and some of our other partners. Some of those partner agencies also do some recruiting and hiring as well. Training, consultation, and workplace safety. There's a grant that I believe is actually coming out in a few weeks. They moved the timeline up. The Department of Industrial Accidents and the Workplace Safety Grant. If there's any type of training that you are looking to do for your staff over this upcoming year that involves safety around the workplace, it could be anything from active shooter training, it could be stress management, it could be any number of different programs that are available. That's one that's actually coming up for I guess proposals or grant bids in the somewhat near future, and you can get that training covered potentially by some of those grants. There's also, in terms of training, I mentioned the apprenticeship. That is going to be, and Mark will touch on it probably again later as well, but the apprenticeship program is a really strong, and there's a lot of funding coming out for that program where it takes on-the-job training along with classroom training, builds those components together to help upskill your workforce while still being able to compete and do the day-to-day work. That might not be the best way to describe it, but long and short is it's a partnership between employers in the region, the educational providers, and now with all the funding that's out there, the workforce partners to really help navigate that program to, again, give individuals who may not have those skills the opportunity to start off in a role that's going to gain them those skills both in the classroom and on site to really further their career and also further the business's success overall in these challenging times. So that's another one. I mentioned the layoff aversion and management. Some other business development and partnerships would be Mass Office of Business Development. We work closely with many of the chambers of commerces, hence this event. I'm excited to grow our relationship with the two chambers that are helping host this event today. But then also business compliance as well. It does list some tax information, Attorney General's office contact information and so forth in there. So like I said, there really is, and those are just some of the benefits. There's a lot out there. And then finally, one more thing before we transition over to Mark, because the CTI program, Career Technical Initiative, does correspond with what Mark will be talking about with the Future Skills program. But the CTI initiative was rolled out by Governor Baker, where it's working with the Voc Tech schools to use their facilities to a greater capacity. There's a lot of great facilities out there with the Voc Techs, and training facilities that oftentimes were dormant. So what they've done is they've created programming for the adult customer in the after standard school hours times in shorter training courses to help really get those that are in need of upskilling in certain areas to get those skills quickly and then land the job afterwards. Some industries that I can say locally, the schools that we're working with are, well, first off, I'll mention locally in the Metro Southwest region, we're working with Minuteman Tech, Blue Hills Tech, Tri-County, and Assabet Valley. And they've got programs, some of which are graduating shortly as plumbers, HVAC welding, manufacturing, carpentry, and really a whole lot more, with more and more programs ongoing, because this will be a program that's going for the next few years. And again, Mark will be touching on it. I don't want to steal his thunder, but we are working closely with the schools in terms of the placements from these programs. So if there are any employers that maybe heard one of the programs I just mentioned and they're like, hey, how can I connect with those training programs? We would be more than happy to help make those introductions and get you guys connected to those pools of candidates as well. Just reach out to the local career center and we'd be happy to make that work. And without further ado, I'll certainly introduce Mark Wigfull. Actually, no, I think first we're going to do questions and then we'll introduce Mark.
Yeah. So we have one question in the Zoom room, which we might end up deferring after Mark speaks, but Donna asked, how do individuals seeking work find out about apprenticeships?
To start, I would say from a job seeker's perspective, reach out to your local career center. There are new apprenticeships forming really every day. We just learned about one in the hospitality industry that is starting out in Boston, and there's a lot of opportunities for your non-traditional apprenticeships as well. From a job seeker's perspective, I would simply say reach out to your local career centers, because they are going to have the most up-to-date availability of the programs that are currently out there. And if they don't have those specific, they would have the ability to connect with the apprenticeship program to get those specific answers. But yes, short answer I would say is if they are interested in taking advantage of one of those opportunities, I would start with the local career center where they'd be able to make those appropriate connections.
And does anyone in the room have questions about business services? Oh. And you can come up to the podium actually, and there, if you want, and there is a microphone. There's a microphone. Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I'll repeat the question too for those that are listening.
Do you have a date of the rollouts of the grants for the possible trainings, like the active shooter trainings and those types of things, when those grants might be rolled out?
Yeah, so each one is different. So there's actually a couple. Mark will be talking about one of them called the Workforce Training Fund, which is available throughout the year, and that's just more general training dollars that are available. The Department of Industrial Accidents, it used to be every August / September, they would start to put the bid or put it out for bids so that companies can apply for the grants, and then they would just gradually award them until the funding ran out. I believe, and I don't want to, I can't confirm it, but I believe last I had heard they were moving that timeline up so that in the February timeframe, you would work to customize, or in essence, they have training providers that are available that would be approved that you can then reach out to on that list to then set up the training. But it would be customized to a timeframe that fits the grant, but that would work for your company.
And someone, oh, go ahead.
Hi. You had mentioned that you're going to do a manufacturing event in March. Is there a date for that right here in Acton?
Yep, it's going to be here in Acton, March 7th, I believe.
March 7th,
Yeah.
we are very close to finalizing all details for that, but we're looking at March 7th. It'll be from 3 to 6 at the Acton Senior Center, but we are still finalizing that, so don't hold us to those dates yet.
Any other questions in the room? Nope.
If you guys could just repeat those into the microphone for the recording, that'd be great.
Yes, I just realized I forgot to repeat those questions into the microphone like I said I would. So the second one was just in regards to the manufacturing event that will be taking place on March 7th, like we mentioned. And the first question was regarding just the time frame for the Department of Industrial Accident Safety Grant, which again was targeting the February timeframe, but I'm not 100%. That may change. You can very simply, if you just Google Department of Industrial Accidents Safety Grant, that'll bring you to the page where the most up-to-date information will be.
And for anybody who already is or who hasn't signed up yet, if you follow my newsletter, like when those workplace safety grants come out, I'll put it in my newsletter. You know, the March job fair will be in the newsletter, so you can always sign up for that. And Sean has a newsletter as well, so definitely get plugged in, so that way you kind of automatically get the updates. Joe?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry about my tardiness there. I have to include that. Traffic was not nice to me today. So, New England traffic, or Boston traffic as we call it. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mark Wigfall. I'm the market maker. And what a market maker does, I'll go into further detail when we get to that slide. But basically, I cover a very large territory. I cover all of Metro North, Metro Southwest, a small portion of Metro South, and all of Metro Boston. So there's about 63 cities and towns under my region that I work with. So basically what a market maker does, as you see, I'm not going to read you the slides, but I'm more like a matchmaker. So when I say matchmaker, many of the things that Mr. Marshall has spoken about, I connect them. So when an employer comes to me and says, hey, I would like to know about manufacturing, or I would like to know about a particular grant, we have this philosophy, it's like Disney World. We will never say, I don't know, can't get back to you. We will say, okay, let me get back to you and figure that out and give you the direct person you need to speak to, instead of saying, why don't you just try this? We're not about having you try something. We're going to send you directly to who you need to speak to. And that way you can get your question answered. There's so much on my plate that I don't have all the answers. I have to tell you that. There's so many things going on where I'm always in different meetings in different places and dealing with different levels of our MassHire system. The MassHire system is very extensive. However, we're like a family, and I like to use that term. When I say we're like a family, meaning we're like brothers and sisters. Obviously, you have your moments, but we still work things out and we get it done. And we want to make sure that our job, especially my job as the market maker, I am your one-stop person. You reach out to me and I will connect you to all of the other pieces. Part of that is to work with the career centers as well as BizWorks. BizWorks has, eventually we will share a link with you, that BizWorks has an extensive book of all of these connections that we are talking about right now. And it kind of ties it into a little bowl for you. However, it still doesn't give you exactly who you need to reach out to, and that's where I come in. You might say, oh, this looks interesting. I want to learn more about it. So you'll reach out to me, and then I'll connect you. For instance, for an example, if I'm working with an employer and the employer says, I need 10 people for this particular position, and I'm here in Acton, what I would do is say, okay, let me introduce you to my business service manager, Sean Marshall. And Sean Marshall will assist you, but before I send you there, let me explain to you how this process works. So that way, when you and Sean start to have a conversation, you don't feel kind of lost, and Sean's not going, oh, wait, well, let me figure this out for you. When you connect, I already had let Sean know that you're coming. You already know that Sean's going to be talking with you, so when you talk, you're having an actual conversation on how you're going to resolve your needs. So we determine your need for what you need for workers. We connect you to the resources in the system. We help you create talent pipelines. As I was saying earlier, if you need new employees or you need your employees to be trained, we also have a whole support system behind this. And it depends on how you want to use that, because as an employer, believe it or not, there's so many opportunities out there. And I like to use, I'm going to drop some words in your head that's going to make you think as I go through this process, how you can use your organization's needs to benefit and grow your organization. And that is through, I like to use the word, my favorite word, free. How many of you like free? Let's show of hands. Come on, let's talk about free, all right? So we have free money. The state of Massachusetts has $200 million that they need to spend on employers. And then it's sitting there for you all. There is one particular grant that I must say that you will have to pay back as it's not the full 50%. So when I get to that particular grant, it's called a Renew grant. I'll go into more detail. But when I get to that particular grant, basically, as you put your person through a training process to either improve their skills, or you're bringing on unemployed people through a training process. Once they are officially hired and the program is completed, what you will do then, so if it's, say it costs $6,000 for that particular employee, or $5,000 per se, you just got to pay back half of that. So you'll end up paying, $2,500 or $3,000 upon their hire after you get them through that whole process and you find exactly who you're looking for to fit in that box that you're trying to fill in your organization. So that's one of the ways that we work with our system here. Next. So how we determine things. We work with you on immediate hiring. Immediate hiring, again, we leverage our career centers. We highly depend on our career centers. Believe it or not, if you have ever worked with a headhunter and all of that money that you have spent on a headhunter, you could have saved a lot of money because it pretty much costs you $0 to work with our business service managers who are basically our headhunter type programs. They will do all of the things that a headhunter does, except they won't charge you. And a lot of businesses do not realize that that's what we do in the state system. And the state system has been so, I would say, convoluted to employers, and employees are like, I don't want to deal with the state. Every time I call them, they send me here, they have me call this. That, not anymore. Mark the market maker, Triple M over here, will make sure that you are reaching out, and when you reach out to me, I will send you directly to who you need to speak to. And again, I always have conversation with these individuals. Sean and I, at this point, we didn't realize we're brothers from different mothers, but Sean and I, we talk pretty much 2 or 3 times a week. If not phone or email, we're always in conversation because that's how much work has been coming through from employers now that they know that these services are out here. On top of these services that are out there, there's a huge campaign that is going to happen through the state. The state's going to send out advertising for all of these different things that we are talking about right now for the employers and job seekers. The first one that's going to come out is going to be for job seekers. You're going to see it on billboards, bus stops, newspapers, all of these different locations. This information will be disseminated out to the general public, geared specifically for underemployed, unemployed, and employers. And it will give you a link to where you can click on, and it will tell you who your regional market maker is. So I am one of 7 market makers. The Massachusetts system is cut up into 7 regions. We have 7 regions. We have 16 workforce investment boards, otherwise known as WIBs. We call them WIBs. So if you hear the word WIB and you're like, what's that acronym mean? WIB, those are workforce investment boards. There's 16 of those. I'm not sure if you really know about those, but the workforce boards, they're like our government, and they govern what happens and how we work in our career centers, how we use our grant-funded money, and how they interact, how the employment system itself works with the state and collaborates with the state. So that's our workforce investment boards. Out of the career centers, they're coming and they're growing, they're dropping, there's some leaving, there's some added on. So we're at about 20 career centers across the state of Massachusetts right now. And out of those 20s, it depends on where your business is located. You should just try to reach out to your nearest career center. And how you find that out is you can go to the Mass website, can reach out, and you have our contact information at some point throughout this meeting here. You'll have our contact information, and you can reach out to one of us. We have no problem connecting you to our other services, our other career centers. Your business may have locations in other parts of the state, and those other offices or locations that you have can also work with the different career centers, the BizWorks system, and the Future Skills system, which is the whole grant system. Now, the grant system, I have to explain to you that grant system is ran through an organization called Commonwealth Corporation. And so if you're not familiar with them, Commonwealth Corporation is a quasi-state agency that oversees the particular grants, because there are many different grant funders out there, but particular grants that they oversee for the state, that when you are, as an employer, depending on what your needs are, again, remember, they're free. I'm going to keep reminding you of that, because our process and our tagline for you to work with these grants is help us help you. So that's what we always look for. We want you to help us help you. We want to help you and help your organization be the best that it can be. And we understand we have challenging times with our particular economy right now. So we're anticipating these things. We are braced for all of these different challenges that are up and coming. And that's where this $200 million for these various different grants are sitting here waiting for our employers to use. Most people say, it's a big question. Who's going to help me with this particular grant? We don't have grant writers. Well, I have good news and bad news. I'll deliver the bad news first. Bad news is, when you are filling out for these grants, you're on your own. You're on your own. So that being said, those particular grants, you can still reach out to Commonwealth Corporation and or me and ask those questions. We have sample grants that are set up there that will assist you, that will show you the process. They're really not that difficult. The hardest part about applying for these grants is the end. Should you be awarded that grant, you now have to turn in a lot of paperwork, monthly, weekly, and that's the hardest part about the grant. You can work with the career centers, they can help you with the grant. You can work with the training providers that you're working with, that they can help you with the grant. So these are the different ways that it can help you. These are the extensive areas that obviously in the state of Massachusetts that we cover, and this is how it's all broken up. So these are the different regions, these are the what you're looking at here are basically the WIB workforce board system. And this is how it's broken up into the different categories in the state. These are where the 7 market makers work. My area is number 5. And then they're broken up into those categories like that. We are the market makers. This is the group of us as the market makers. Now, how this whole system works together, as you see here, you can post jobs, we do target mail-ins, we have information, LMI information, labor market. You get some of the, as you apply for some of these grants, there's tax credits on these grants. There's youth internship opportunities that we can work with you on. There's small, large recruitments on, and that's what Sean was speaking about earlier. We can even help you with, if you need a space for interviewing or any of that, we can also do that as well. We also do assessments and testing, and I'm pretty sure Sean has spoken about some of this stuff as he went through his process, but these are all here for you. We have the tools. We can make your HR department work smarter, not harder. All right, so we also do these various different things. We determine your needs. When you're training your workers, we build strong connections with your organizations. We increase the effectiveness of how you're going to use those state funds, or how you would want to use your state funds. And then we also work with you on the process and reporting. And that's like if you work with the Career Center, if you work with a training provider, your training vendor. Many of the state organizations know how these grants work, and they will let you know the cost of that particular grant, of how much they will charge you to work with them. And again, it's not coming out of your pocket. It's all written into the grant. So you'll be paying them through the grant, which would make your life a lot easier. And you say, hey, okay, this is the grant I'm interested in, and you're the training provider. The training provider will then do all the paperwork for you. They might even help you apply for the grant. If you pull them in as a partner, they will say, well, these are the things we need to put into the grant. So there's so many ways to look at this. All right, so moving up the stair steps here. As employers, we will help you learn our system. We share that information. We connect you. We agree on, when you're building these programs, you also have a say in the curriculum. You also have a say, because we don't know all the components of your organization when you're building these things. So while you're building these particular grants, you can say, as if it's a training program, you say, we would like these things to be credentialed into our program. And once they're credentialed in, they will help you write that into the grant. You have it your way. Now you're working on your whole hiring process, and it's a lot easier for you. And you can do this a couple times a year. The grants are usually good for 2 to 3 years when you apply to them. Okay, next slide. All right. Quickly, it's all up here. And anything that you see up here that I have talked about, I can share with you via email if you want more details. So don't feel like you're going to get lost in this information. I know it's a lot of information. So always remember, that's what we have modern technology for. We can just share this stuff with you electronically and get you all the information you need. So the one particular grant that I want to point out, and that's the one that I said, Renew Grant, that's the one you get up to $10,000 per student, and an employer pays back 50% upon hire. So that's after they've gone through the training. You can now, so we'll go back to the standard number, 6,000. So if you have that, you have 10 students, and you got to pay back, you're going to only pay back half of that. So you'll pay back, if it's cost you $60,000 to run this program, you're going to pay back $30,000 out of your. So that, all the other ones, you really don't have to worry about that. The Workforce Competitive Trust Fund grant, that's most of the employers usually, that's the one they usually apply for. But we also have the Scale Grant, and I'm going to jump to the Scale Grant because the Scale Grant will help you with implementing a program. It's kind of like if you want to do your R&D, research and development. If you want to do your R&D and you want to see if this is really going to be a good fit, when you apply for the Scale Grant, it actually helps you roll into the other grants because the grantor will say, they already received this grant, and it rolls into your CTI grants, and your WCTF grants. The CTI grant with the Competitive Trust Fund grant, that grant particularly. That particular grant, you're going to work with a Chapter 74 school. So the workforce training, the Workforce Competitive Trust Fund grant, these are the particular areas of industries that they look at when you're applying. And again, I know this is a lot of information. We will share it with you. And I will make sure you have that for those of you who are interested in further indulging in this. Then we have that. We have different components of it. And again, it says awardees can apply up to $500,000 in funding. Well, I just found out that's been moved up to $1 million. So please feel free and as you reach out to that. And these things also, they have technical assistance behind it as well. The Renew grant, as I mentioned earlier, that's the only one that you'll have to pay the 50% back to. Okay? The CTI one, again, CTI is set up so that you work with our Chapter 74 schools. Our Chapter 74 schools are our technical high schools. Our technical high schools have many of the components that if you're in type manufacturing or some kind of construction trade or industry, they have all this equipment there that does not get used at night. So, or on the weekends, you can work with your local technical high school, Chapter 74 school, and they will work with you on helping create these programs and create pipelines, as they call it. Pipelines meaning that the wonderful part about being the employer, you have a lot of say. And your say is this: if you set up the program, you have to pull in other employers and maybe another training vendor, but most time you have to have additional employers work with you. But because you're the one that's the grantee and you're overseeing that grant, you get first pick on the particular graduates. You get to say, all right, these are the top 5 students. They're our top 5. But if there's 15 in the program, the other companies that have given you a letter, and that when there's 2 different types of letters when you receive from an employer. The first letter you don't want. That's a letter of agreement. They're saying, yeah, we like your program, it's great. You want what I say is a letter of commitment. And a letter of commitment basically says that we will interview, not guaranteed interview, is a potential. We will potentially interview and we will potentially hire, if they pass the interview, these individuals. And that's the type of letter you're looking for. Because the other letter just basically says, yeah, we agree, great program, nice program. But it doesn't guarantee that they're going to work with you with these graduates. And then you're stuck trying to figure out what you're going to do with these graduates. All right? So, with that being said, the scale grant, again, that's the one that's going to help you implement a program, get you started your R&D as you take the risk of applying to your programs. And apprenticeships. Apprenticeships, I'm going to scroll through that really quickly. At the bottom of that, if you are interested in apprenticeship, there's a whole department with the state that works on apprenticeship programs. They have all of the different connections to it. I will connect you to the right person there at that organization, and or a career center can assist you with doing that as well. Okay. And my contact information, I do have some business cards on me if you would like one thereafter, but that's pretty much all I have for you for now. But I'm hoping to hear from you soon. Remember, it's free.